Chances are, if you are looking to get into FPV and you're kind of seeing all the drama that's playing out recently in the Congress and in the Senate with the proposed bill to ban DJI drones from the United States, purchases or maybe possibly even owning or flying them. We'll have to see how that all plays out. But in the meantime, this week, we want to showcase some drones that are not DJI, so you have a choice going forward in the future. And we want to talk about some drones that are for beginners. They're under 250 grams, so you don't have to register them, and something that you can afford to get started. We're going to talk about the steps that you need to get into FPV and FPV drone flying, how to start, what to get, and today we're going to check out Newbie Drone's VR drone. It's everything in this little tiny box that you need to get started flying FPV. You can start right inside your house. Once you learn how to fly indoors, you go outside and learn how to fly a little further each time you fly. We will talk about what's inside this box. It is $159. It has the goggles, the quad, the radio, and 4 batteries and a charger inside here. So I think it's a pretty good deal for what's out there right now. This company makes little mini drones that fly amazing. In the FPV community, we call them tiny whoops. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this review of Newbie Drone's VR drone, the brand new $159 ready to fly tiny whoop kit that you can get. You can check out the link in the video description. And if you want more drone news and reviews and tutorials and beginner tutorials, be sure to subscribe, click that bell for notifications when new videos come out from Drone Camp's experience. Now, let's go ahead and get you involved in this experience of the VR drone from Newbie Drone. Okay, so starting out, you should start out flying inside your house, and you want to start out just flying line of sight. That means that you're going to fly just the drone in stabilized mode right in front of you without the goggles first. So fly yourself, I'd say 4 batteries, maybe double that, maybe fly 8 batteries line of sight, and then move on to putting on the goggles. I know you can't wait to do that, but it's really going to make you a better pilot in the long run because it's going to teach you that early muscle memory on the sticks of where things need to go. Now, this transmitter right here, it is pretty cool because it's super compact. It's chargeable by USB-C right here. It has multiple function switches on here. It does have an arm switch on the left-hand side. It's a 2-position switch, and then it also has a 3-position switch on the right-hand side on the top for different modes. It has stability mode, horizon mode, which gives you a little more tilt, will let you do a roll and a flip, but it will help you come back to stable. And it also has full manual mode, which we call acro mode in the FPV community. And the USB-C charging port is right here on the transmitter. And what's cool about this one too is that it does come with a USB-C cable that you can hook into your computer and use this with simulator. So if you're wondering, can I use this with a simulator? Yes, you can. It's pretty awesome. Now, they kind of fooled me with this package because Newbie Drone sent this to me inside that little box. Everything is in there, the radio, and I was looking at the goggles, and I thought maybe they tucked the drone inside here, but I couldn't find the drone inside the box, and I was wondering, like, where the heck is the drone? Did they send me just the goggles and transmitter, but no drone? Well, yeah, here's the drone right here inside the goggles. So it has its own little case that fits inside the goggles, and it has a room for like 12 batteries inside here, and it has a 4-port charger built in with a USB-C port. This comes out just like this, and you put this back on, and now you have your drone and your charger in its own little case that fits inside the goggles. That was like the coolest thing to me. I have not seen another manufacturer do this in 10 years on my channel. So this is pretty cool. It's almost like it is injection molded. It's very similar to the Whoop cases that I've seen in the past, like the 3D printed cases, but this one's fully injection molded. So that's kind of nice. That little cockroach frame is inside there. It has replaceable motors, and they also have their own proprietary RX on here as well. So this is Newbie Drone's protocol that they created for this particular drone. And you can also change the PIDs and the rates inside the goggles. So you don't have to hook it up to your computer, and you can change anything right inside the goggles with the sticks on the transmitter. So that's pretty cool. But first off, let's go ahead and do some line of sight flying. After that, I'm gonna goggle up with you and I'm gonna record the flights because they also include an SD card on the side right here for recording your videos. So now you can record your videos with this version. So let's go ahead and let me give you a lesson in line of sight flying indoors. Now, before we get started line of sight flying, I just want to give you a quick demo of how everything comes out of the box, turns on, how you can record videos, how you can switch channels on the monitor, and kind of some of the features and functions of the VR drone. The B-Mote V2, which is the transmitter, the VR drone itself, and the Nitro Nectar batteries and the charger that's inside this box. Also the brand new Sky Portal goggles. So it's pretty cool. The Sky Portal goggle inside here is a kind of 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 type of device because it houses the Nitro Nectar batteries and the charger inside here, as well as the VR drone. So that's pretty cool. Take this, put this on the very top right here. It has a single antenna. Sometimes we see that some of these antennas are diversity antennas, but this is going to be a singular antenna running on 25 milliwatts. So not the greatest power on this little FPV drone, but this is meant for kind of close-in flying. So once I opened the box, when I first opened it, I didn't see the drone in there anywhere, and I looked in here, I didn't see it here. It has the magnification for the screen, but I did not see that there was any drone in the box, and I was kind of like stumped for a second until I took off the screen. And so now you have a detachable screen, and the VR drone is tucked inside here in its little cool little case and charger. And we can slap this back on, make it a pair of VR goggles, or we can take it off and make it a standalone screen so you can show your friends or family. You can just prop it up on the counter against the goggles. I would like to see that this monitor had a tripod port right here for mounting it to a tripod, because that would be really nice to be able to do that. I don't see that, so you're just gonna kind of have to lean it up on the counter. It does have included micro SD card, which is awesome because you can record your videos, and they also give you a little USB-C and standard USB plug for putting this SD card in. You can put it right inside your computer, and then you can transfer your videos to your computer. So that's kind of cool. You also have AV out here. I did not get an AV out cable, but I also got extra propellers in the box and a prop tool remover, which is cool. So to start this up, pretty simple. You're gonna long press on the record power button right here. It's both the same, the record and the power button. Now, once you come up, if you want to scan your channels, you can press this button next to the record and power button right here, and this is the scan. It'll scan through all the bands and all the channels, and it'll find the video on your drone. So take your drone out, put it on a flat surface, and first thing you want to do is make sure you charge up your transmitter, but long press there. It'll turn this guy on, and then go ahead and grab one of your 1S batteries out of the charge box here. It's the Nitro Nectar 1S 250 milliamp. They say we'll get about 20 minutes of flight time with all of these batteries. So, I'm expecting maybe 5 minutes of flight time out of this. So we can go ahead and plug in this drone now. And it's not gonna let you plug it in wrong. So get it flat as quick as you can. And then you'll see that it comes up. If the video doesn't come up, press and hold the second button over from the left, and it'll scan through the bands and channels. If you wanna go into the menus, you press the third button over from the power button, and that will take you into brightness, saturation, and things like that. Press again, contrast, color, the zoom, and reset, and then back to the main screen. You can also change bands. It's the fourth button over, and now we can scroll through all the different bands and all the way back to where we were. And then you can scroll through 8 channels per band with the far channel positive and negative button right there. So let's go ahead now and let's do some line of sight flying with this quad. And after that, we'll do some FPV, and I'll record some videos to my micro SD card. And oh yeah, on this side is where you can charge up this monitor. You'll see that go green when it gets a full charge. Long press again to turn off the monitor. Short press to start recording video, by the way. And so we're gonna long press and turn off the monitor, and now we'll do some flying. Now, one other cool thing that I may have mentioned is that Newbie Drone offers like unlimited replaceable cockroach frames. This is the cockroach frame. It is all one piece prop guards and top plate canopy right here with the camera mounted. And I believe it has like a pretty wide field view for this camera. So you don't have to worry about tilting it up and down for racing or even flying mild freestyle with this quad. On the very bottom, it has 2 screws here, which you can release this bottom plate and be able to get to your motors in case you have to replace them. These are plug and play motors, which means they just unplug, you don't have to solder. So if you burn out a motor, they are color coded, so you can order new motors. And these are the silver edition motors from Newbie Drone. They also offer the gold edition. Now it's pretty easy to get started with this transmitter. This left stick is throttle up and down. This is yaw left and right, and that turns the nose of the drone left and right. And I'm gonna show you that in this demo in a second. We also have the roll axis on this stick and forward and backward. So this is the pitch and the roll on the right stick. And also kind of green LED status showing me that my battery inside here is charged, our USB-C port there. And we also have our arm switch. So if we press this switch again, back to the right, the drone will start to arm. Press to the left and it will disarm. So if you get way out there in the yard and you're afraid you're gonna fly out into the trees, you can disarm the drone and make it drop to the ground. And it's gonna be pretty indestructible little drone, but people do break these, so get ready. Now also on this side we have the stability mode, which is all the way to the right. We have horizon in the middle, and we have acro over to the left here. We also have an A switch here and a B switch here. Okay guys, so we are finally ready to do the line of sight flight test, and I'm gonna show you how it flies line of sight. We're gonna start out in flying in stability mode, and that's what you should do before you fly for the first time. Make sure this switch is all the way over to the right, and you're gonna have stability. Full stability is only gonna let you kind of move over about, say, 30 degrees this way, 30 degrees this way, forward and back, and it's not going to let you flip and roll to the ground and crash things. So to arm the drone, we're going to press this left switch over to the right, and you'll see this little guy arms. Now you have kind of a low throttle position. Now what you want to do is come up off the ground. So the cutting board is my landing pad right now. You want to make sure that the drone is facing you so that left is right and right is left. Now when this drone switches around and is facing you, right is going to be left and left is going to be right. Forward is going to be backwards and backwards is going to be forward. So everything is going to be turned around, kind of like RC car. If you've ever driven an RC car, you know that's kind of how it is. Also with RC airplanes and RC helis. So I'm going to switch it around like this, make sure the back is facing you, and we're going to start out first arming it, and we're going to come up off the ground for the first time. It doesn't have any type of optical flow or position hold, and not even any kind of any kind of altitude hold. So if you're wondering about that, this is full manual flying, well, full assisted stability flying with your drone. And at first you just want to kind of keep it in one spot, and you want to learn how to hover it in one spot. So that's the first thing you want to do as a brand new FPV drone pilot. Hover it in one spot, just like this, line of sight. Practice keeping it in one spot. If it drifts to one side like this, it probably needs to be calibrated. So you can land it and start it again. And look at that, even I make mistakes. It flipped itself over. So I'm gonna restart this drone, get it flat as possible here. And let's see if it has any calibration features. Sometimes if you do sticks out to the side like this, you see that starts to flash, and then it went back to solid red on the canopy. So now let's go ahead and arm it again. Looks like we have one propeller that wasn't moving, so let's go ahead and arm it again. There we go. Sometimes it just takes a minute, and see how it's flying nice and solid now. Now, before I was kind of having to counteract it going to the left or right. And so now, watch, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit of altitude here. Make sure the back is facing you. You can yaw a little bit with the left thumb. And so now, this is, it's kind of up and down a lot because it really is sensitive on the throttle. So now here's hands off. Still going to the right a little bit, but not as bad. It was on a full tilt earlier. And again, you could probably set it down and recalibrate it again. That just kind of calibrates the gyro. Now, what you want to do after you learn how to hover, and I recommend doing like 4 to 8 batteries of line of sight flying before you get started with the FPV goggles. as bad as you want to just goggle up and do it, just give yourself that learning experience. You're going to be a better pilot. So what I like to do first is kind of go out after I learn to hover and then come back. So you're only using the right stick and you're managing your throttle. Just go out a little bit. Don't get too far away because you'll lose sight of this. It's really hard to figure out your orientation when you're first starting. So go out and then just come back and practice keeping it up above things. And so go out and back in. Okay, and now the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go left and then back to center. And you're gonna go left and back to center. So right now you're practicing your right thumb, also with your left thumb for the throttle, for kind of keeping it kind of in the same elevation. Now back over to center, and now go to the right, and then back to center. And this, you know, for guys that are already flying, this may seem really boring, but for you guys that are just starting, this is really awesome for you to learn. So and we're gonna go even further with this line of sight and tutorial instructional here. So next thing we're gonna do is pull back toward yourself and then forward, pull back and forward, kind of like in a swing set fashion. Okay, so now you're doing only the right stick, a little bit of throttle input, and you can turn the nose with the left stick a little bit if you want to keep it straight. So now we're gonna practice using yaw to turn it all the way to that direction, and now back to yourself here. Now turn it the other way. Okay, keep it level, and now turn it back and come back to your regular position here. Now we can also do something which is called a vertical column. I used to teach this to people outside our store with DJI Phantom drones way back in the day. So a vertical column is simply starting out low to the ground, and you're gonna keep the drone facing you, come all the way up close to the ceiling in a vertical column, and then all the way back down. And this is sort of teaching us throttle management. So we're just gonna do this as many times as you like. Just do as many vertical columns as you like. This is way back from my original drone camps curriculum for training people how to fly drones. Okay, now all the way down again. And you'll see that the yaw actually was affected right there. The motors got a little bit low in their power, so it started to spin. So at the low end of the throttle, it looks like it may lose traction in the air. So coming all the way up again. Okay, so now you've done your throttle bumps, what we call throttle bump, in a vertical column. So we're gonna practice your first landing, and you're going to stop the motors with the left switch there. So the next thing we're gonna do is a square circuit. So go ahead and unplug it and set that to the side. You can start charging this one as well. Now go ahead and grab another battery, and we're gonna do some circuits. So the next battery is gonna be all about circuits, and this will really teach you some orientation for the sticks and where the quad needs to be at certain points. So we're gonna start out flying the right stick in a square circuit, and then we'll move on to incorporating yaw. So yaw gets really complicated line of sight for people, and a lot of bad stuff happens when you start crashing when you start implementing yaw. That means like you're having the drone spin around on a 360. But the rates are pretty low on here. You can change them inside the goggles, but let's go ahead and start our first square circuit. We're just gonna do a small square circuit right here. We're gonna use our throttle stick on the left thumb right here, and then we're also gonna use this right stick to go to the right. This will be position 1. Now go to position 2 right here, hold it, because you've already practiced learn how to hover. Now position 3 in the square circuit. Now pull back. We're not using any yaw. Okay, now you're position 4. Okay, now moving back over to position 1, you completed your first square circuit. Pretty cool. So now we're gonna do that square circuit going left. Position 2, and you can do it a little bit faster. Position 3, position 4. Well, this is position 4, and you're back to square 1. So you've already done one square circuit to the left and to the right. Now we can do something called a circular circuit. So we're going to use the right stick only, a little bit of throttle management here on the left stick. So we're gonna go out and around. And you're just gonna do a small little circle, okay? All right, now you've done your first square circuit, or your first circular circuit. Now we're gonna go to the right. And you're gonna do a circular circuit to the right using only the right stick, okay? So cool. So now what I want you to do is we're gonna do something called a nose-in hover. And a nose-in hover is straight from RC helicopters. So when you learn how to do this, everything goes opposite. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hover in front of yourself, and you're probably gonna crash, but go ahead and do this. And even myself here. So now you're facing the camera toward yourself, okay? Now this gets complicated because when I pull back on the stick, it goes away from me. And when I push forward, it comes toward me, okay? So left is right and right is left. Now you're gonna practice this nose-in hover for, I would say, a few batteries. This takes quite a bit of skill because again, like, it is pretty kind of jumpy on the throttle. So go pushing right on the right stick makes it go left, left makes it go right. You see that? Now I can spin back around, and if you get in trouble, just, you know, yaw back around to where the drone is facing you, okay? Pretty cool. So now you've done two different square circuits, you've done your circular circuits, you've practiced nose-in flying, and now we can do something we call forward flight. So the first forward flight is walking behind the drone forward flight. So we're just gonna slowly walk behind the drone as we walk around the house. And this is a lot of fun because it kind of simulates an FPV experience. Sort of third person view behind the drone, pretty cool. Okay, so this is our first forward flight lesson. And go wherever you want in your house, just fly around and enjoy it. Practice that yaw as you're making your turns, okay? Now the next version of forward flight we're gonna do is from a standing position. So we're gonna have our pilot position here, and this is where it gets more complicated as a beginner. So you're gonna go ahead and go out into your field of your house, and you're gonna use yaw to turn around. And so this is a free flight and forward flight, what we also call free flight. So here you're gonna practice all of your orientations, throttle management, roll and pitch, everything for understanding how your drone flies. Isn't that cool? So if you want to, you can also set up obstacles. You can put a hula hoop somewhere. You can also come back and practice your landing, nose in and tail in. Hit that disarm switch right there, and now you're done with your line of sight tutorial with your brand new newbie drone, ready to fly VR drone bundle kit. So let's go ahead now and strap up the goggles. Let's do some FPV with this little guy. That was a lot of fun. Okay guys, now go ahead and turn on your transmitter. Let's go ahead and plug in the PH 2.0 connector to the battery, and let's set it down as quick as we can here to make sure that everything is level. You can go ahead and calibrate the accelerometer here. So we're gonna go ahead and stick down into the outside corners. You'll see it start to flash red there. When it stops flashing, it's calibrated. It's gonna fly a lot better. So we're gonna start out in stability mode right now, and then we're gonna work our way toward horizon and hopefully fly a little bit of acro, full manual mode inside. So I'm gonna go ahead in my goggles now, and it's not on, so I'm gonna go ahead and long press the red button here. And you'll see the newbie drone thing pop up, and then you'll see full screen. Let's go ahead and long press again. Long press again for recording. And you should see REC pop up in here somewhere. Okay, I double pressed and record pops up on the top of the screen. So now you can see that the drone is recording. We're gonna go ahead and start an FPV flight now. I'm gonna show you the video from the drone as well, and our pilot video here. So I'm gonna go ahead and arm, and I am in level right now. So I'm gonna come up off the ground real slow. And again, you can go inside the goggles and change the rates here if you want to. But this feels pretty good. Now I feel like this drone really has some like speed to it if you want it. If you let go of the right stick, a little bit, back off of it a little bit, it'll slow you way down. So I can go super slow like this. And if I want to really press on it, I mean, beginners do this a lot. They tend to overstick. So you guys get a little wild with the sticks. So don't stick bang at first, because you're definitely gonna bounce off something and crash. So we'll see what kind of flight time we get here. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can see it says I'm in level mode, VR drone. I have my flight minute over on the left-hand side. I have my telemetry for my RX connection to my radio. That's the drone connection to the radio. It says 100% right there. Over on the right-hand side, you can see what particular band and channel we're on. And you can see the drone's battery voltage. Right there, we just got a little bit of maybe some interference on the screen. Maybe some kind of Wi-Fi or something. So it's pretty fun in this stability mode, and a lot of times, honestly, you guys, I fly in stability mode myself. Even though I've been flying for a very long time, I enjoy flying around the house in full stability. Because it just lets you get away with things like that. You can practice gaps, you can make gates, you can make a racing course. And you'll see that even when we go into like horizon mode, that it's going to be even more challenging. And I don't really recommend doing flips and rolls inside the house. I mean, if you're freestyling in the house, you're pretty advanced. I've seen those videos. You should check those out. Tiny Whoop freestyle indoors is pretty wild. But I'm not doing that myself. I'm just flying around for fun and finding new gaps all the time. Even in your own house, like, there's so much to explore. Make up new things, and you know, sometimes you might bump something, but again, these frames are super durable, and a lot of people really like these frames. I'm just getting lucky here, you guys, flying around, that I haven't bumped anything yet. That's pretty cool. So it flies good. I'm not actually surprised that this thing flies so great. And again, you know, if this looks fast to you, back off your right stick, like get it more to the center, and you're gonna slow way down. So look, you can slow way down with this. I mean, you could even go check out yourself in the mirror over here. Do a little droney in the mirror. Can't tell how close that mirror is, but there we are. Isn't that cool? And you can really start to explore like tight gaps. Right there, I'm bumping into things, and that's so cool that when I bumped into that, it didn't throw me to the ground. Some of the flight controllers out there, they don't like bumping things. It throws the flight controller off, and some of the Tiny Whoops out there will throw the drone to the ground if it bumps something. This one kind of bumps something and keeps going. It keeps flying. That's awesome. So I would have not made it through the chandelier just then if I'd had a flight controller that throws itself to the ground. So that's pretty cool. So I mean, right now we're at 3.5 volt. I mean, we are at the bottom of this battery. 4 minutes and 20 seconds on this battery. That's pretty good. That's really good. So let's go ahead and come in for a landing. There's more static interference for some reason. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if I'm getting close to something, or I'm just at the end of the, probably at the end of the battery here. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it down on the floor, and let's land this baby before we damage that battery. If you fly your battery too far down, you will start to damage the battery. Even on 1S batteries, you'll see them start to swell. If your little 1S battery starts to swell, that means that you probably want to recycle it and buy a new battery and get a new one, because your flight time is just going to get less and less and less as the battery ages and starts to swell. It can also be a problem with fire. So you don't want to have a fire inside your house. So always stay by your charger or in the same room with your charger when you're charging your LiPo batteries. So, okay, let's go ahead and fly another battery and let's try out Horizon and Acro mode. It's rainy outside today, so it's kind of the perfect day to be indoors with Tiny Whoop. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in, get it flat as quick as possible so the accelerometer loads. And just for kicks, I'm gonna go ahead and sticks down into the bottom outside corners again. I'm gonna calibrate the accelerometer and hopefully it'll fly better. Smoother and more level. So we're gonna start out inside stability mode, and then we're gonna flip over to Horizon mode. So this video, we will do Horizon. Let me see if I can get it to start recording. So press once for it to restart recording. I'm gonna bring up the drone's video, and we're gonna go ahead and start out. Let's just go straight into Horizon mode. And now you're gonna see a little more sort of angle of attack. It's allowing me to fly quite a bit faster indoors. It will also let me flip and roll at this point. So I'm just gonna practice a landing. Practice a landing on the cutting board. There we go, okay. Now we're on the ground. We're on our landing pad, so let's go ahead and take off again. Now we're gonna arm. Stick all the way down to the bottom to arm, by the way. If your stick is somewhere in the middle, the quad won't arm, so that's a good tip for beginners. I've had people tell me they can't get their drone to arm. It was because they didn't have their throttle all the way down. So very important, beginners. Make sure that you have your throttle stick all the way at 0 at the bottom. So see now how we get quite a bit more speed and angle here, but it's still bringing me back to level when I want to. So right there, we just crashed. Let's see if I can get it back off the ground. Okay, I'm gonna put myself in level mode. Should be able to get myself out of there. Uh-oh. So one thing that I don't think that this drone has, I don't know if it has turtle mode. Turtle mode lets you quad flip back over, so I may have to go grab this drone and flip it over myself. Maybe restart the battery and recalibrate the accelerometer. But I'm just gonna go ahead and set it down back on the floor, and we're gonna recalibrate the accelerometer without restarting the battery, and we'll see if that works. I'm still recording in the goggles, so I'm gonna go ahead and take back off here. Gonna arm the drone. And now you can see that our fly minutes has started over. And it doesn't like that. So here, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to unplug it. We're gonna stop the video. And we're gonna unplug it and restart it. So sometimes the accelerometer, the flight controller gets thrown off in a crash when you go upside down. Just restart everything, calibrate, and you'll see the red light flash, stop flashing. I'm gonna record on the goggles. Okay, now we're recording. And sometimes if your VTX gets too hot, that may be also something where it looks like we're having a problem. So here is our problem, is that we're missing propeller. Propeller flew off. Okay, so I found the propeller. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and find the motor where it was. Make sure that propeller is facing upwards. And you may wanna take a picture of the way that the propellers go on your quad with your phone, so that in case you have to replace all of the propellers at any time, that you know how they go on. And this propeller setup is right turn rear. We've talked about that before on the channel. So that's kind of the standard quadcopter setup for propellers. And when you fly this for the first time, go ahead and push down with your thumbs on each propeller. That way everything is nicely seated, because the first flight I had with mine, the propellers flew off. 3 of the propellers flew off because they were loose from the factory. So once you do that, you'll hear them kind of pop as they hit the bottom of the motor stem. So I'm gonna press record again, and now we're gonna go ahead and continue on with what we were doing here. So we're gonna go ahead and go into Horizon mode. I'm gonna arm. We are recording, so I'm gonna take off here. And now I'm not spinning around because I actually have that propeller back on the motor. it won't fly with 3 propellers. That's why I'm kind of skeptical of drone taxis, because most of them are quadcopters and they just don't fly with 3 props. Now, if it was an octocopter taxi and it was able to fly with 7 motors, or if 2 motors lost props, you could still safely land, that would be great. But this is pretty cool. So you can see how everything is faster here. And dare I try a roll or something indoors with this, I will probably crash. But this will let me do a flip and a roll. So we're just, we're cruising around quite a bit faster now. So when you learn how to fly in stability, go ahead and, oh wow, there goes a roll. But see what happened there was our accelerometer got off and it flipped us over. And I don't have, anyway, let's see, no turtle mode available. Doesn't look like I have turtle mode. So I'm gonna have to walk over and flip it back over. So that's one of the things about flying tiny whoops indoors, is that you're probably gonna do quite a bit of walking around your house at first. Even when you learn how to fly these things, I still find myself walking over to pick it up, find it behind a curtain or something, restart it, press record all over again. But it's so cool that you can record your videos. So let's go ahead and calibrate the accelerometer. It only takes a second. Now you know how to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and arm again. And this time we're gonna try out full acro mode. So, I may crash right away, but we'll see. And this is something that you should probably test outdoors. Full horizon mode, or full acro mode is gonna be way harder than horizon. Because look what happens. Everything goes super fast on you. And I have to really stay on the sticks to even it's almost impossible, even for me indoors. But it does seem to be pretty smooth. I'm just barely making little tiny hair-like movements. And you saw how fast it wanted to go in the beginning right there. Just extremely fast. So flying acro indoors, even for me, takes a ton of patience and a lot of practice. All right, so there you have it. Everything you need on one cutting board to fly FPV. So let's talk about some kind of afterthoughts about the VR drone, RTF from Newbie Drone. When I first opened the box, again, it fooled me. I thought that they only sent me the goggles and the transmitter because, interestingly enough, design-wise, they manufactured this little drone case. It has a 12 battery slot right here with some sort of foam and the built-in charger on the side for 4 batteries. These are PH 2.0 connectors. So the cool thing about this charger is that you could use this with other brand batteries. So if you don't want to buy Newbie Drone batteries, you don't have to fly the Nitro Nectar batteries. You can fly anything. If you want to order some PH 2.0 connector batteries on Amazon, you can fly anything that will fit the bottom of this. And most times the 250 milliwatt batteries will fit right through there. It kind of looks like a stick of dentine gum if you're that old, if you know what dentine is. But the drone fits right inside this little slot right here. Kind of cool that everything is injection mode. It's not a 3D print. It doesn't look like it fits in there with a battery on there, but take the battery off, tuck the connector from the drone inside the canopy on the bottom, and should go right down in there for some solid protection for your little tiny whoops. So VR drone, it kind of came out of nowhere. It's pretty awesome. It does come with an extra set of props, the prop remover tool. Some great things about it was that it flew really well. In the stability mode, it flies even more fun in horizon mode, and for full manual acro mode, I think outdoors it's going to do mild freestyle. It will be something that you can use to learn how to fly acro with and not end up breaking the bank, number one, and then also fixing a lot of stuff. So if you want to fly without having to fix everything every 5 minutes, with a 3-inch and a 5-inch drone starting out, you're gonna break more stuff. And even when you're first starting in FPV freestyle, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have to learn how to like repair your 5-inch freestyle drone. But these props are the ASI tri-blade props. They are push on, you don't need any tools. As far as the props themselves, I had a couple times, 2 or 3, maybe 4 times where the props flew off the motor stem. So eventually where the shaft connects to the prop up inside there will get kind of worn and they'll start flying off. So one of the things you should probably do if you get this kit, go ahead and order yourself some extra ASI tri-blade props to accompany your VR drone, because you're gonna need them. You're gonna have props flying off. Our playroom carpet is gray. It's the same color as the props. So when I had a prop fly off inside the kids' playroom, I couldn't find it because it's a smoke gray colored prop, and they were just gone. But it is cool. You get 4 extras, the 4 that come on the quad, and you get an optional removable monitor, which I think is pretty cool. I would have liked to seen that this had sort of diversity antenna on here, meaning 2 antennas. It has a single antenna, but they're trying to reduce costs. So this one, they were able to get it down to $159. So you can't beat that with the stick right now, considering how expensive things are out there. Inflation is crazy, and we don't have a new drone coming out every day like we did back in 2017. So now companies are producing less drones, but in my opinion, they're producing better drones. So the releases that we are getting are kind of further spaced, and I think they're doing more testing at the factory before things are sent out to you guys. So that's one good thing that's happening in the drone industry. But as far as this drone, I think it's going to be somewhere in, I would say a 4.3 out of 5, not exactly a 5.0 score. There are some things that could be better about it. The prop system could maybe be better, but this is a pretty standard thing in the Tiny Whoop, the push-on props. I just wish they stayed on a little bit better. So you'll have to kind of, every time you land or crash, just go over your quad with your thumbs and press those props down. But I'm looking forward to testing it again on a day when it's not raining. We'll go outside and fly it outside, because there's always that one guy on the internet, oh, he didn't fly it outside. Man, it's raining outside. So I don't want to compromise this, but I will do some further testing with it, because I think it's a pretty cool release. And I like cheap stuff. You guys know I like cheap. So I will bring you more non-DJI drones coming up this week as well. So all this week, you're gonna see non-DJI drones and other cool tech stuff on the channel. So if you like drones and you like tech, be sure to subscribe on the channel, guys, because I bring you all the latest and greatest drone reviews, tutorials, e-bikes, and tech-related things right here on the Drone Camps channel. Thanks again for watching, hanging out, making your comments, and please do click like on the video so the algorithm grabs it and pulls it up the chain as far as the recommendations go. It takes your likes. So I appreciate your likes and your subscriptions. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care, and I will definitely see you on the next one.